The sky over Cinder Reach was not like any other day. Thick clouds moved fast, twisted by strong winds. The sun tried to shine through, but the light looked weak and tired. Sergeant Warren Hale stood on the broken walls of Outpost Meridian, staring into the horizon. Dust and smoke swirled around him. The air smelled of fire and metal. He could feel the tension in every gust of wind. Something huge was coming. Something no human had faced in centuries. He adjusted the straps of his armor and checked his rifle. The weapon was heavy, but he knew it would not kill what he was waiting for. Nothing on Earth could. Not cannons, not bombs, not even the strongest missiles. Warren had heard the stories, all of them true. The dragon known as Ash Sovereign had ruled the northern skies for 300 years. Entire cities had burned under its wings. Armies had fled before it. No human had ever dared to fight it and survive. And now it was coming straight for Cinder Reach. Warren's boots crunched on broken stone as he walked to the edge of the wall. The ground below was shattered. Buildings lay in ruins and broken vehicles were scattered like toys. He had seen the dragon strike from the air before and he knew its power. One beat of its wings could lift a soldier off the ground. One swipe of its tail could crush a tank. One breath of its fire could melt metal. But today Warren had no choice. Humanity's last hope rested on him and a secret plan. He looked up and saw movement in the clouds. Shadows flickered and the air grew hotter. Warren's heart beat faster. The dragon was close. Even from this distance, he could see the shimmer of its golden scales. Its eyes glowed like molten metal, watching every movement on the ground. Warren took a deep breath, steadying himself. Fear tried to creep into his mind, but he pushed it away. Fear was for those who had no plan. Warren had a plan. Behind him, hidden under the rubble, lay humanity's secret weapon. It was called the Sky Anchor, a huge machine built to stop planes. Now it was modified to stop a dragon. No one knew if it would work, but it was humanity's only chance. Engineers had worked day and night, risking their lives to build it. Warren had watched them, thinking how small humans looked against something so powerful. But humans had one thing dragons could not match: cleverness. And cleverness could win battles where strength failed. The wind picked up, carrying the dragon's roar to Warren's ears. The sound shook the walls and rattled the broken glass nearby. Warren held his rifle loosely, letting the dragon think he was just another human soldier. The dragon circled above, wings stretching wide, casting a shadow that moved across the ruins like a dark cloud. Every step the dragon took was slow and careful, as if it was measuring the humans below. Warren's stomach tightened. One wrong move and he would be gone in a second. He remembered his training, the long years of learning tactics, traps, and timing. He remembered his friends, those who had died trying to fight creatures they could not understand. This was not like any battle he had faced before. This was a test of mind, not muscle. Warren had to trick the dragon. He had to make it believe he was the only target, the only threat. The real danger waited hidden, ready to strike at the right moment. Smoke and dust swirled around him as the dragon made a low pass over the outpost. The sound of its wings was like thunder mixed with fire. Warren could see sparks flying where its claws brushed the metal ruins. Soldiers in the distance ducked and scrambled, trying to stay safe. Warren stayed still. He could feel the dragon's eyes on him. It was studying him, judging him, trying to decide if he was prey or nothing at all. A sudden gust knocked Warren off balance. He caught himself on the wall, heart racing. The dragon's roar echoed again, louder this time, shaking the ground. Warren realized that this moment would decide everything. If he failed, humanity would lose more than this outpost. The dragon would move south and no one could stop it. But if he succeeded, if he could lure it into the trap, he could show the world that humans were more than their size, more than their weapons. Humans could outthink even a legend. Warren lowered his rifle slightly and whispered under his breath, "Come on, old friend. Let's see what you've got." The dragon dived, wings cutting through the sky, shadow growing larger, closer, hotter. Warren's eyes narrowed. He held his ground. Fear had no place here. Only focus, only strategy. The air crackled with energy, as if the world itself knew this was the moment when humans would fight back, not with strength, but with cunning. Somewhere deep in his chest, Warren felt a spark of excitement. This was it, the moment humans had waited for. A chance to prove that even the smallest, weakest soldier could stand against a legend and survive. And maybe, just maybe, you win. The ruins of Outpost Meridian were quiet now, but the silence was heavy. Warren Hale moved carefully among broken walls and twisted metal, keeping low. Every step had to be precise. The dragon, Ash Sovereign, had passed over the outpost once, testing them, and now it was circling again, waiting. Warren knew the moment of truth was coming, but first he had to prepare. Behind a pile of rubble hidden from sight, lay humanity's secret weapon, the Sky Anchor. It was enormous, taller than any building Warren had ever seen, and it hummed with quiet energy. Engineers had worked for months to modify it. Its original design was for stopping enemy aircraft, but now it had been changed to trap a creature that could fly higher than any plane and strike faster than any missile. Warren ran his hand over the metal surface. The machine seemed alive, its energy pulsing under his fingers. Captain Leonard Brooks spoke over Warren's comm. "Hale, are you sure this will work?" His voice was tense. This thing was never meant for a dragon. Warren smiled faintly, though Brooks couldn't see it. "It will work if I do everything right," he said. "If I don't, well, we'll all be smoke in the wind." He crouched near the controls and checked the final settings. The electromagnetic pulse had to fire at exactly the right moment, or the dragon would detect it and destroy the machine before it could trap him. Timing, distance, angle, every factor mattered. One mistake and the trap would fail. Warren's mind raced, calculating, planning, and imagining the dragon's reactions. He remembered what his instructors had always said: humans can be weak in strength, but cleverness can win any fight. "Strength only wins battles once," Warren whispered to himself. "Cleverness wins the war." Outside, the wind howled, carrying distant roars and the thunder of the dragon's wings. Warren could hear the dragon circling higher now, its golden eyes scanning the outpost. Every shadow seemed to move with it. He took a deep breath, calming his mind. Fear could ruin everything. He had to stay focused, see the plan through. He thought about the soldiers who had come before him, those who had faced creatures larger, faster, and stronger. Many had died trying to fight head-on. But Warren had something they didn't: patience. And a weapon no one could imagine a dragon could fear. Warren moved along the edge of the wall, checking lines of sight and escape routes. He would need to be bait, the target the dragon would focus on while the Sky Anchor did the real work. He imagined the dragon's massive wings, the fire in its throat, the crushing weight of its claws. He shivered, not with fear but with determination. The engineers had given him one last warning: "Hale, the machine has enough energy for one strike. If it fails, there's nothing left." Warren nodded. He understood. Failure was not an option. Humans had come too far, sacrificed too much. He thought of the small towns, the ruined cities, the people who had already died to the dragon's reign. He would not fail them. He crouched behind a piece of shattered concrete, keeping low as the dragon circled closer. Its shadow stretched across the ruins like a moving mountain. Warren raised his rifle, not to kill but to draw attention. He fired a few rounds, deliberately missing. Sparks flew and smoke rose, catching the dragon's attention. The creature tilted its head, curious, and dove lower. Warren felt the ground shake under the force of its wings. He moved as planned, luring the dragon toward the center of the outpost where the Sky Anchor waited. Every step had to be perfect. One false move and the dragon would see the trap and destroy it. He felt the adrenaline in his veins, the rush of fear and focus combining into sharp clarity. Every sound, every movement mattered now. The dragon's roar echoed across the valley, shaking loose more dust and debris. Warren pressed himself closer to the wall, letting the creature think it was the hunter and he was the hunted. But in reality he was leading it into the trap. The plan relied on one thing: the dragon's confidence. It had never known a human to be clever, and it would pay for that mistake. He could see the massive body of Ash Sovereign diving closer, scales glinting in the weak sunlight. Its eyes locked on him, molten and bright. Warren's fingers hovered over the emergency signal, ready to trigger the Sky Anchor the instant the dragon reached the perfect position. His breath was steady, heart pounding, mind focused entirely on timing. The wind shifted, carrying the dragon's scent, and Warren knew it was close. He whispered under his breath, "Just a little more, just a little closer." The dragon flapped its wings with powerful strokes, forcing the air into a violent storm around the outpost. Warren felt the ground tremble. Dust rose like smoke from a giant fire. Everything depended on this moment. Warren's plan, humanity's last hope, and the Sky Anchor's power were all ready. The dragon did not know what awaited it. It thought itself the master of the sky, the unstoppable hunter. But Warren smiled inside his helmet. Today cleverness would win where strength had failed. Today humanity would prove it was more than its size, more than its weapons. Today one human soldier could change history. The sky grew darker as the Ash Sovereign circled lower. Warren Hale crouched behind a broken wall, keeping his eyes on the massive dragon. Its golden scales glimmered in the weak sunlight, and its wings stretched wider than any building he had ever seen. Every beat of those wings sent gusts of wind that could knock a man off his feet. Warren felt the tremor of each flap through the stone beneath him. This was no ordinary battle. This was a test of mind, courage, and patience. He fired a few more rounds into the air. Sparks flew, smoke rose, and dust swirled around him. The dragon's eyes followed every movement. It was intelligent, far more than any creature Warren had faced. It tilted its head, observing him, testing him. It was the hunter, yes, but Warren knew he had a weapon the dragon could not see. The sky anchor waited in silence, ready to strike at the perfect moment. Warren moved carefully across the rubble, stepping lightly so the dragon would follow his trail. Each step had to be perfect. He could feel the dragon's gaze burning into him, its wings whipping the air with terrifying force. The ground shook under every flap, throwing stones and broken metal into the air. Warren's helmet visor was covered in dust, but he could still see the dragon, circling ever closer, its shadow growing larger with every turn. He whispered to himself, "Almost there, almost." His plan relied on the dragon thinking he was alone, unarmed, and weak. That was the key. Strength would not win this fight. Cleverness would. Warren had studied the dragon's movements for hours, imagining every possible reaction. Now it was time to test the plan. The dragon dove, wings cutting through the sky like massive blades. Warren dropped low behind a pile of rubble, letting the creature think it had the advantage. The roar of the dragon was deafening, shaking loose more dust and stone from the ruins. Warren felt the heat of its breath even from this distance. The smell of smoke and fire filled the air. Yet he did not flinch. He had faced fear before, and he had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. As the dragon came closer, Warren could see the muscles under its golden scales moving like iron bands. Its claws were like steel hooks, and its tail whipped through the air, smashing broken walls. Warren stayed calm, even as the dragon landed briefly to test its speed and power. Every movement of the creature was calculated, every eye blink measured. It was powerful, yes, but it could be tricked. He reached a small ridge that led directly toward the center of the outpost. That was where the sky anchor waited. He adjusted his footing, making sure his steps would guide the dragon exactly where he needed it. One wrong move and the trap would fail. Warren's heart beat faster, but he forced his mind to focus. Timing was everything. Patience was everything. The dragon roared again and swooped lower, landing briefly on the outer wall of the ruined outpost. Its massive head turned, eyes locking on Warren. The soldier could feel its gaze like fire on his skin. He raised his rifle slightly, aiming in the air, not to shoot but to distract, to make the dragon think he was ready to fight. The dragon hissed and flared its wings, sending a storm of dust and debris in all directions. Warren ducked, keeping calm. The creature had no idea that his true weapon waited silently in the center of the ruin. He signaled to Captain Brooks through the comm, whispering, "It's coming closer. Prepare for the strike. Wait for my signal." Brooks' voice crackled back, tense but steady. "Understood, Hale. Everything is ready. Be careful." The dragon lunged again, its wings slicing through the sky. Warren sprinted toward the central clearing, making sure to stay visible enough for the creature to follow. The air around him was filled with flying debris, the sound of wings, and the heat of the dragon's presence. Each step was a test of balance, each breath measured. He knew the moment the sky anchor fired had to be perfect. Warren could feel the dragon's curiosity turning into aggression. It flared its nostrils, smoke curling from its mouth. Its tail lashed at the ground, smashing rocks into the air. The beast was confident, strong, unstoppable, or so it thought. Warren smiled faintly inside his helmet. The dragon had never faced a human mind like his before. He had studied it, waited, and learned its patterns. This was the moment where cleverness would fight power, where patience would challenge brute strength. The dragon took one more look at Warren, eyes glowing brighter, before it dived straight for him. Warren ran forward, keeping the creature on the line he had planned. The sky anchor was ready, humming with energy beneath the rubble. Every second counted. He whispered, "Now, come on." The dragon's massive body cut through the air, shadow falling across the ruins like a moving mountain. Warren's fingers hovered over the trigger, his heart pounding, mind razor sharp. One move, one pulse, and everything would change. The air seemed to hold its breath. The dragon thought it had won. Warren knew he would show it that humans could fight in ways no beast could ever imagine. Warren Hale's heart pounded in his chest as he ran toward the central clearing of the ruined outpost. The dragon, Ash Sovereign, was diving straight for him now. Its wings sliced through the air, whipping up a storm of dust, debris, and broken stone. The ground shook with every flap, and Warren felt each tremor through his boots. This was the moment. Everything they had prepared, everything humanity had worked for, came down to this single instant. He reached the spot where the sky anchor waited. The massive machine towered above the ruins, humming with stored energy. Its metal surface glowed faintly as if it were alive, ready to spring into action. Engineers had risked everything to build it, and now its power was in Warren's hands. He crouched behind a protective barrier and checked the final calculations. Timing, angle, speed, all had to be exact. One mistake and the dragon would crush the machine or worse, destroy him before the trap could work. The dragon's roar filled the sky, a sound so loud it rattled every stone in the outpost. Warren gritted his teeth, keeping his eyes fixed on the creature. Its golden scales glimmered in the sunlight, and its molten eyes were locked on him. It was intelligent, calculating, and deadly. Every move it made was precise, as if it were aware of the trap but confident it could overcome it. Warren had only one chance to prove it wrong. He fired a few more rounds into the air, intentionally missing, making noise to keep the dragon focused on him. Sparks flew, dust swirled, and the roar of the creature grew louder. Its wings flapped faster, stronger, shaking loose more stones and metal from the ruins. Warren ran along the designated path, leading the dragon exactly where he wanted it to go. The creature followed, eyes fixed on him, completely unaware of the deadly force waiting below. "Now, Brooks," Warren whispered into the comm. His voice was calm but steady, carrying the weight of responsibility. "All systems ready," came Captain Leonard Brooks' reply. "We're waiting for your signal." Warren's fingers hovered over the sky anchor trigger. The dragon's massive body grew larger with every second as it descended. Dust and debris flew through the air, heat from its wings brushing his armor. It lunged toward him, claws ready to strike, teeth bared, fire beginning to curl from its throat. Warren took a deep breath and waited. Timing had to be perfect. The slightest hesitation could ruin everything. The dragon dove closer, its shadow falling across the clearing like a moving mountain. Warren sprinted forward, staying in line with the calculated path. The sky anchor hummed louder, pulsing with energy. He could feel the vibration in the ground beneath him. It was alive, powerful, waiting for the signal to strike. "Steady," Warren muttered, keeping his eyes on the dragon. Its massive head twisted, molten eyes locked on him, smoke curling from its nostrils. The creature flared its wings, sending a wave of wind that knocked over debris and dust into the air. Warren kept moving, drawing the dragon closer, exactly where the trap would work. The dragon roared and lunged, claws extended. Warren reached the perfect spot, chest pounding, fingers gripping the trigger. Every second stretched into eternity. He pressed the button. The sky anchor fired. A massive pulse of electromagnetic energy shot into the air, invisible but powerful. It wrapped around the dragon like invisible chains, hitting it mid-flight. Ash Sovereign screamed, a sound so loud it made Warren's helmet vibrate. Its wings flailed, trying to escape, but the force held it tight. Sparks of energy danced along its golden scales. The dragon thrashed, spinning and twisting, but the chains held. The wind roared around Warren as he fell to the ground behind the protective wall, watching. The dragon smashed into the valley below, sending up clouds of smoke, dust, and debris. Trees snapped, rocks shattered, and the ground trembled as the beast struggled. Warren could see it move but slowly, weakened, trapped. The creature that had ruled the northern skies for centuries was finally subdued. He struggled to his knees, chest heaving, eyes fixed on the dragon. His hands were shaking, not from fear but from adrenaline. Humanity had done the impossible. One soldier, using his mind and courage, had faced a legend and survived. Captain Brooks' voice came over the comm again, full of relief and awe. "Hale, it worked. You did it. You actually did it." Warren didn't answer immediately. He stayed focused on the dragon, watching its slow movements. He whispered, almost to himself, "Even the greatest can be beaten, if you outthink them." The outpost was quiet again but not peaceful. Smoke and dust hung in the air, and the ruins looked even more broken than before. But humanity had survived. One soldier had proved that cleverness, courage, and careful planning could win where strength alone could not. Warren rose to his feet, looking over the valley. The dragon lay below, still alive but trapped and weakened. He knew it would recover eventually, but the fight was over. Humans had won this battle, not by fighting harder but by thinking further. He raised his comm once more. "All units listen. Victory is ours. The dragon is contained. Remember this day, humans can do more than survive. We can outthink, outlast, and triumph. Never forget that." Somewhere deep inside, Warren felt a quiet pride. Not for himself but for humanity. Today they had shown the world that even the smallest, most fragile humans could face the strongest creatures and prevail. Today a legend had fallen, not by power but by strategy, courage and mind. And Warren Hale had led the way. The sun was low in the sky, burning orange through the smoke and dust of the valley. Warren Hale stood on the edge of the ruined outpost, looking down at the dragon, Ash Sovereign. The massive creature lay on the ground, its wings folded awkwardly, breathing heavy but alive. Its golden eyes, once full of fire and power, now looked tired, almost wary. Humanity had survived against a force older and stronger than any army, and Warren could hardly believe it himself. He lowered his rifle and took a deep breath. The battle was over, but the work was far from done. Engineers and soldiers moved carefully through the ruins, securing the area, repairing equipment, and making sure the sky anchor remained stable. The dragon's power was immense, and even trapped, it could still cause destruction if handled carelessly. Warren knew this victory was just the beginning. Humans had shown courage and intelligence today, but they needed to learn from every step to survive tomorrow. Captain Leonard Brooks came running up the rampart, his face flushed from exertion. "Hale, are you seeing this? We did it. No one thought we could do it. The Ash Sovereign, it's down and the sky anchor survived." Warren nodded slowly, keeping his eyes on the dragon below. "It's not dead, Brooks. It's still alive. But we proved something important. We survived. We outthought it. That's what matters." Brooks studied Warren for a moment, understanding his meaning. "You risked everything to lead it into the trap. You made the right call. Humanity owes you more than words can say." Warren shook his head. "Not just me. All of us. Every soldier, every engineer, every person who believed we could fight back. Today humans proved that brains can beat brute strength. Courage can win where power fails." The dragon shifted slightly, testing the chains of the sky anchor. Sparks of energy flared around its scales, but it could not break free. Warren studied it carefully. This was a creature that had ruled the northern skies for centuries, yet it lay subdued because humans had planned smarter, acted faster, and worked together. That thought filled him with pride. He looked out over the valley, seeing other outposts in the distance, broken but still standing. Smoke rose from the wreckage, but somewhere behind it all, humans were alive, breathing, fighting, and surviving. Warren realized that today was not just a victory over the dragon, it was a victory for humanity itself. One soldier, one plan, one act of courage had changed the fate of many. Warren moved closer to the edge of the rampart and activated his personal comm. He spoke clearly, broadcasting to every human outpost in the region. "This is Sergeant Warren Hale of Outpost Meridian. The Ash Sovereign has been contained. Humanity has survived. We did not win by fighting harder. We won by thinking further, by daring to act when others would run. Let this be a lesson to all. Humans are clever, resourceful, and strong where it matters most. Never underestimate us. We will survive. We will triumph." The message echoed across the valleys and plains, carried by radio waves to every corner of human territory. Warren could imagine people listening, hearts lifting with hope and pride. For centuries, humanity had feared creatures like Ash Sovereign. Today, fear had been replaced by respect for the human mind, courage, and strategy. He turned back to the dragon, seeing it struggle against the invisible chains. Even trapped, it had not given up. Warren admired its strength. In a strange way, the creature reminded him of humanity itself, powerful, determined, and unwilling to accept defeat. But humans had one advantage the dragon did not: foresight. Planning, strategy, and patience had won the day. The engineers approached Warren, carefully checking the sky anchor systems. One of them, a young woman named Mira, smiled nervously. "Sergeant, we did it. The dragon can't move. We can control it now or let it retreat far away. It's up to you." Warren nodded. "Let it live. We don't need to kill it. Today is about proving something, not causing more death. Let humanity learn from this victory, and let the dragon remember it." As the sun sank lower, painting the sky in gold and red, Warren felt a quiet peace. The battle was over and humanity had won. But he knew this was not the end of their challenges. There would always be more threats, more dangers, more dragons in the world. What mattered was that humans had shown today that they could face impossible odds and prevail. He lowered his visor and allowed himself a small smile. Today humans had proven that courage, intelligence, and strategy could overcome even the greatest power. Warren Hale, one soldier among many, had made history. The legend of Ash Sovereign would live on, but now it would be remembered not as an unbeatable force, but as a creature humbled by human cunning. And somewhere in the ruins of Outpost Meridian, a single soldier looked out at the world he had helped save, knowing this was only the beginning. Humanity had won and their story would continue, stronger, smarter, and united. Today a dragon had fallen but humanity had risen.